folks. Welcome into our season wrap-up edition of Horsin Around. Along with Darren Elliott, I'm Brian McCormick. Gave you a couple of weeks to digest the HSK season and watch a lot of Golden Knights hockey, as well as they're on a run to the Stanley Cup final. But now we will put a bow on what was a very successful Silver Knights season. Silver Knights setting franchise records in wins, points, home runs, road wins.
Fun, isn't it? Winning's fun.
I'm going to have a lot of work to do remaking the entire record book, but that's the kind of season this was for the HSK. And Darren, I think for the Silver Knights, as fans, as the players digest a little bit, it was a very successful season. And right now there are players who are still contributing to this VGK run, which kind of draws that success out a little longer. Very
much so. And, Tim Speltz has always used the term, learning in a winning environment. Sometimes that can be mutually exclusive in the AHL because of call-ups and just the rigors of the schedule. But it wasn't this year. And so many players benefited. They had team success, and lots of individuals played into that.
And Tim Speltz will join us for this final wrap-up episode. Who better to hear from than he on how this team came together and found its stride, especially in the second half of the season. And that is, I think, the remarkable thing about this Silver Knights season is that the numbers across the board are spectacular. But from Valentine's Day on, this team found a different level. And not just a different level for the sake of the success of this season, change the expectation around what this Silver Knights team can do both now and going forward.
There are moments, you were there every step of the way, but for me, the 6-0 road trip stands out as like, what? That doesn't happen at any level. And it was like, okay, this could be something special. And that second half of the season, as you mentioned, Carl Lindbaum didn't lose a game in regulation from mid-January on to the, I mean, there were so many stories like that. It was really, really fun to follow the team and be part of it throughout the season, especially the second half.
And Silver Knights team, the season came to an end in the second round against Colorado. A good Colorado Eagles team that is headed to the Western Conference final now. A combination of factors for the Silver Knights. Couple of injuries at the wrong time, and also sometimes a playoff series, we've seen this at every level, sometimes a playoff series can change in the middle. And when the venue changed to Colorado and the Silver Knights came up short in Game 3, the tenor of the series changed just a little bit, but that's, and every team can say this, it was a Silver Knights team that did a lot of winning, but also just played a lot of hockey dating all the way back to the Olympic break. Maybe caught up with them a tad, but it's a team that if the Silver Knights could have found a way through that Colorado series, you and I still might be working a lot harder.
And they did, to me, have the personnel and the makeup to go further in the playoffs. But as you said, each series takes on a life of its own, and you have to give the Eagles a lot of credit. That's a veteran team. They were not going to beat themselves and haven't yet.
And that's a great way of saying it. The Eagles didn't beat themselves, and that's something the Silver Knights did so well this season. Not taking advantage of teams beating themselves, but every time a team gave them a little sliver, of daylight, a little crack in the door, they'd kick the door down. That didn't happen as much in the Colorado series, but boy did it happen often throughout the second half of the season, where this was a Silver Knights team that had a comeback knack. And when you have that personality to you, it's usually because you have individual players who are having phenomenal seasons that can take advantage of those cracks of daylight. And maybe no one did it better than Raphael Lavoie.
When he came back, I think he scored 24 goals in the 31 games after missing 2 months. And he did it in a variety of ways. We know he has a big one-timer from the top of the face-off circle, but he got to the net. He drove the net. He beat guys one-on-one, on and on and on. It was stories like that. The power play was number one. The defense core, top 3 guys in the top 8 in AHL scoring. All kinds of stories like that, and they never felt like they were out of a game. And you get back to what Ryan Craig did. This was a team that checked for their chances. They continued to skate, and they played an exciting brand of hockey. Lots of speed through the neutral zone. Like I said, exciting season, and it does set up expectations for the upcoming season.
For the Silver Knights, we can break it down a million different ways. We're not going to take that much time today, but the rookies got better,
Yeah.
as you expect rookies to do. The veterans got better in their own way, which is to say, Raphael Lavoie is, if memory serves, 25, 26, not an old guy by any means, but he's been in the league a little while now. He got healthy, focused on the areas of his game where he could be explosive, and was the best version of himself this season. Dylan Coughlin was the best version of himself this season. This was a team with veterans that weren't here just to play the veteran role and teach the young kids and this is what I am, this is what I do, this is what I offer to this group. The older guys also took it upon themselves to get better as this season went along.
Doesn't always happen that way. And the other part, guys that got called up, whether they're veterans or youngsters, and then came back, they came back focused. And in my experience, I had a lot of experience going up and down. I didn't always handle it that well. I'll be honest with you. I mean, it's like, again, that never came through, whether it was a veteran who got called up like Tanner Lazinski. When he came back, he didn't pout. He just continued to work on the elements of the game. The messaging must be great in the organization that he had to work on to be the player that they need him to be the next time he gets called up. And that was true throughout the lineup.
Even players, again, when Kai Uchaz was told he was going back to Henderson, but that was probably news he knew was coming at some point. He didn't expect to be there the rest of the season.
Right.
When Alexander Holtz got the news he was going to Henderson, that's probably news that was taken a little bit harder, but to your point, came down, was a professional, and was a top 6 contributor to a playoff team. Yeah,
Kai Uchaz is an amazing example of it, because I didn't I'm like, really? He's getting called up? He hadn't done anything, in my mind, to warrant a call-up. Well, they suck no more than I do, obviously. So he goes up and fares quite well in the role that they expected him. Told him, you can play like that at the AHL level. Comes down with more confidence, has a 20-goal season.
50-point season.
Right, so now, now he's on the radar.
You talk about the radar. Trevor Connolly was already on the radar when the season started.
You need a radar gun. I was
going to say the radar is beeping every 5 seconds now because of the year that he had, not just in terms of productivity, but at such a young age. He was probably, if he's not injured at the World Juniors, if he has a fuller calendar. You know, sometimes I think when the award voting happens at the end of the year, people are looking just at points columns, and you can't watch everybody. It's understandable. But anyone who was able to watch Trevor Connolly day in and day out from January on, he was an all-rookie player this year.
He certainly was. And, okay, so he comes in, he has speed. Okay, great. Then his passing became elite. He can shoot it. More than anything, his willingness to come off the wing and drive the front of the net. Almost reckless. But he did also learn to use other gears. Everything wasn't always at top speed. So his development to me was remarkable, regardless of the accolades that should have probably gone his way. He won't care about that because he's going to be a legitimate player come training camp time for the VGK.
Led AHL rookies in points per game, and again turned 20 midway through the season, so still very, very young. But if you look at this group, in September/October, Kelly McCrimmon, George McPhee are going to look at their options, their rosters. So much happens between now and then to know what the VGK roster is going to look like. But we do know that the young players that comprise this HSK team, a good number of them are going to be back. And
that's exciting.
How different this group is going to feel about themselves in October of 2026 compared to what they felt October 2025. This year, the way that they won, the amount that they won, I think it changes the perception both internally and externally about what the Silver Knights can do.
And that's where that whole notion at the American Hockey League level, number one, you want to develop players. The best environment to develop players in a winning environment. And they put that together extremely well this season.
So a phenomenal season for the HSK. Again, the winningest season in franchise history, back in the postseason. And now the likes of, Dylan Coughlin especially making a contribution for the Golden Knights.
So cool.
On their run to the Stanley Cup final. We'll step out when we come back. General Manager Tim Speltz will join us. And again, he'll be a wealth of knowledge both on this group as a whole and what some of the individuals accomplished this year. He'll be right with us. We're horsing around.
John F. Miller is one of the 4 special schools in the Clark County School District, and we serve all of Clark County's most medically fragile students. Well, we've created a relationship with the Silver Knights, and through the volunteering at our building, we brought our students here to have an opportunity to see the practice and skate with their friends.
So Mitch McLean reached out to our school back in November and wanted to volunteer and do some work with our kiddos, and has come consistently the last several months. And he brought this idea to me and we ran with it. So our students don't have a whole lot of opportunities to get out into the community, so this is a perfect opportunity to have these opportunities for our students and experience life outside of the school.
I just think the guys on this team, they probably haven't been exposed or experienced things like this. Obviously, these students have their own school, right? They're not in a general education facility with other students that are their age group, right? So maybe growing up, you don't get to interact with students this way, and I think it's just like an eye-opening experience, right? Like, we get to play hockey. We're very fortunate every day with the life we live, and some people don't have that opportunity or afford that opportunity, but they still have the opportunity to get on the ice with us. And I think that was like a special moment for me, is seeing my teammates interact with these students and kind of enjoy their time as well.
Our school is open for volunteers all the time. We enjoy outside community coming in, and also the community opening up for our students to go out and experience other opportunities.
Yeah, again, that school it's the best community you could find. If you could replicate and want everyone in the world to live a certain way, it'd be the way those students and teachers do every day, and how much they care about their students and care about the people around, and how much this opportunity of spending 45 minutes with us today meant to them.
Back on Horsin Around, wrapping up the 25-26 Silver Knights season, and we are with General Manager Tim Speltz. Tim, there's so much to cover on what was the most statistically successful season in Silver Knights franchise history. I guess just to start off broadly, congratulations on a great season, and maybe what are the things you've had a couple of weeks to reflect on now that kind of rise to the top as the most significant to you?
Well, firstly, thanks, Brian. Appreciate it. It was a successful season. There's no doubt about it. I think, since our inception here in Henderson, I think we've been good with the development point and the development model. We know what we want to do, and it's been our priority. We've done it, but we haven't done as much winning as we needed to do, and that's a big part of development as well. Everybody knows that. It's not always the easiest when you're, trying to promote and present those young guys as much as we do. But at the same time, this year we did accomplish both, so that was very successful. I think right now, reflecting on everything, the fact that, we look at one of our prize prospects, Braden Bowman is up with VGK right now with their Stanley Cup run. And maybe more importantly, a player that we brought back as a veteran player for that second part of the model. He's not necessarily a prospect, but he was a player that we sure thought added to the VGK depth and was going to be a great HSK player, was Dylan Coughlin, and that's come through in spades. Playing very well in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and was a great player for us. So that's great to see right now.
What goes into that kind of decision in the off season? Like how do you identify guys that are going to be depth guys that are proven at the AHL level, tweeners maybe we used to call them from an NHL standpoint, like a Dylan Coughlin? Is there a lot of talk with Kelly McCrimmon? Is there a thought process that, hey, this guy will help us, but he might help you too?
Yeah, and I think, Kelly's always a part of those conversations, but Vaughn Carpin and the pro staff, they specifically try to scour the American Hockey League and the NHL for contracts that could be available. And I think for us, specifically, we're looking, Dylan Coughlin is the perfect example, and we'll use that, of a player that, had some success here, went on to 2 different organizations, and that's going to happen in the game. It just will. But we looked at bringing him back, and could he be, a mainstay for our American League team, HSK, and could he be a viable call-up? And I think Cogs took it to another level in that, he really bought into improving his game and taking a step. So, I think, when you've got a player that wants to do that, understands he has to get better, he has to change some things, worked hard with our coaching staff, specifically Jamie Heward, and of course, Ryan Craig with that what he had to do, and then got his game in really good order. And then at the end, when he was called up and needed, his game was perfect and he stepped right in. So that's what you look at. Typically when we're signing players to NHL contracts to play in Henderson, we expect them to be viable call-ups. We expect them to be able to answer the bell. We've been very successful with that, and our call-ups have done a good job of holding their own, helping the team maintain their position when they are called up, and that's one of the important priorities for us as well.
And, Tim, we're only a couple of months now as the Golden Knights get set for a Stanley Cup final. Right on the other side of that, I'm not going to wish June away, but July is coming. We're getting into that time of year again where you're looking for those right veterans to add to the mix. When you look at this past season, Dylan Coghlan won for sure, but Jacob Megna, Jeremy Davies, there were a lot of hits in that free agency class to make Henderson a winner. And I wonder, first of all, talk a bit to the contribution those guys made, but also, is that a bit of an art or a learning process with this group year by year, finding out, what, this is the kind of character we need, this is the kind of a veteran we need?
Well, you're always looking for character. I mean, that's important, and yet, the truth be known, you don't exactly know those players until they're with you. You get good references, you've got a good handle on it. Typically, guys that are could have been or have been maybe problems in the past. You try to stay away from those players, probably. But I think when it comes down to us, where we hit was, we had to move on from some guys. They were character people. They were great guys. They were great leaders, but they maybe were at that stage in the career where they weren't giving us as much as we needed, with our young team. So I think when you talk about the Jacob Megnas and you talk about Dylan Coghlan, Jeremy Davies, these guys brought that veteran presence, allowed us, I think, to make some mistakes. We could still recover from the mistakes because they could end plays, get us going the right direction. But maybe as importantly for a guy like Billy Kemich, they were perfect, so it really helped him with his development. I think when you look at it, Lucas Cormier was the exact same way. And I think we've got a lot of fits back there. Lucas Johansson was another one. We really missed Lucas when he was out. But everybody played their part. We've got some depth guys. They know what their role is. But it's important that everybody understands what they need to do.
We'll hammer down on some individuals. First, though, let's just zoom out before we zoom past it. You talked about the dual functions, the importance of development, the importance of winning. And that was the big addition this year, was winning with a fury, especially in the second half of the season. The Silver Knights from Valentine's Day on were the best team in the American Hockey League. Something, I won't even say a switch flipped, because the guys we talked to said, well, it was there, we got healthy and everything came together in the right way. But this team took off like a rocket in the second half of the season. I'm curious what you think fueled it.
Well, I think there was a couple of things. I think the year before we were similar. We couldn't dig out of the hole that we created for ourselves the first half. And I think every American League team has the same challenge, in that you're very vulnerable to injuries, both on your own team, but maybe more importantly on the parent team, on the NHL team. So if the NHL team has injuries, what you know is you're losing your best player at that position. So that could be Carl Lindbaum, which happened this year. Yeah. We didn't have a lot of injuries on D this year, so that worked out well. We lost, Tanner Lazinski for a stretch. And then when we lost our players, even Kai Uchez, when they got called up, they came back. And we've talked about this on the TV broadcast before. They came back and they knew what their game was. They were comfortable with what their game was, and they were better players coming back. So I think that helped us the second half of this year. But I think the fact that we were, through our coaching staff, very committed to our players, our young players, the first half. And if you are, they're going to take steps. They're going to improve, and they did. And then we were able to click in the second half with a lot of things going right. But number one, both teams are relatively healthy, and that started with the Olympic break when we did have our players back. Now, Braden Bowman wasn't back at that time. He had earned the opportunity to have a break with the Olympic break, and then when we got Braden back, he just fit, and then our team, I think, went to another level again. And then we saw exactly how that can work in reverse when all of a sudden, VGK has an injury, we lose Dylan Coghlan, we have an injury, we lose, Mateo Sapovelov. we're a different team. It was a different team, and you don't want that to happen, but when it does, it's an opportunity for somebody else. But we weren't the same team going into the Colorado series.
There are so many good stories on an individual level from a development standpoint. Can you pick one that stands out to you, that maybe that surprised you the most from a young player? Mine was Ben Hemmerling.
Well, Ben Hemmerling for me, I mean, and it was so tough for, so if we go back to it'd be 24-25 season, both Ben Hemmerling and Lucas Cormier really, they were so far behind the game by the time, they got in. And the game is going, let's say 100 miles an hour. They're coming back and it's training camp for them.
Right.
They've always been good players, but they couldn't get to the game to the level they wanted to. I think the one thing it did for Ben specifically, because he was a rookie, is it prepared him for this year where, okay, this is what it looks like. I'm comfortable in that I know, what the housing is, what the data routine is, what the game routine is. He knew what was to expect, which really helped. Lucas, I think, had known that from his previous years. Both guys, I mean, for me, were great stories this year, coming back, coming off injuries, being healthy and taking great steps. And I agree with Ben for sure. I'd add Lucas into that just because he was such a, offensive player. And again, when he was nicked up this year, our team was a different team when he wasn't available. So that sure made a difference and it showed his impact.
Trevor Connolly was 19 for the first half of this season, a young player in the American Hockey League, perhaps the youngest player in the American Hockey League. And what you want to see from a rookie in his first AHL season is to learn all the things that come with being a pro, see if he can figure out the American Hockey League. I think it's fair to say Connolly went a few steps beyond that. He didn't just figure out the AHL, he was driving play in the AHL.
No question about it. Trevor was a special player this year. His skill set is off the charts, is compete, fearless, going to the net, going to the spots that you have to go to score. That probably for me was, so good to see. I mean, he is still a young, slight guy, but his skill and the way he sees the game and thinks the game is at a whole different level. For him to bring that to our team, that was another thing that really helped. I mean, he clicked, and that was part of it. And I think him and Kai Uchez were a good, yin and yang to what they did as well. I think Kai provided a lot of comfort for him because of his physical play and what he did. And then I think he provided, a lot of offense for Kai, and Kai fed off that as well. So Trevor was another player that, for me shows, and we've been, we have good players that have come to us. Our amateur staff has done a good job of identifying prospects. Right. And these guys aren't, Trevor Connolly is the exception in that he's a first round pick. I mean, when you look at Ben Hemmerling and you look at these guys, their later picks are free agents, as Braden Bowman and Kai Uchez are. So our guys are working hard, to find players that have potential, that can, get to this level. Our job now is to give them the opportunity to take the steps and improve.
What about Raphael Lavoie? What a story when he got healthy.
He was doing Mike Bossy things for about 2 months there.
Yeah, I mean, Raph had a great year, and I mean, it started the year previous. I think there was a time when him and Krager had a bit of a come to Jesus. There was some things that Krager knew that he had to improve on. Met with Raph on that, and Raph to me took those steps. This year he came back. He wasn't as healthy as he needed to be. He had that knee. He had to get a procedure, and he could have played through it. We just felt that we weren't getting as much as we needed to. We could on individual games, but when they were back to back or 3 games in 4 nights, it was really tough for Raph. We had the procedure done. And that was great for, to me, Jonas Romberg stepped in there and was great, playing on that line with Hemmerling and Lazinski. And then as it turned out, and it was tough for Jonas. Jonas got hurt, missed a, Olympic opportunity, but he got hurt with VGK. But then Raph was healthy, came back into that spot, and away we went again. So it showed to our depth, I think. But Raph had a really, really good year, and showed that he's probably knocking on the door for NHL.
There were times, me and Darren talk about this often, there were times this year around the midway point when Carl Lindbaum came back from injury. At that point, you could be saying, wow, he had a great rookie season. Look, he's running it back again. by the end of the season, that's not a conversation anymore. It's Carl Lindbaum's second season was better than his first, and he knocked off a few milestones along the way too with some NHL game action.
He sure did. I mean, a great developmental step for Carl, and I think Carl, interesting the way his development path is a little different, and it was in Europe, and he had a chance to play pro hockey in Sweden. He was ready when he came over. We didn't know how ready he was. We didn't know what he was going to need getting here, but he showed that he was AHL ready right from the get-go. Battled, some injuries, and yet when he was a part of our team, he made our team better. He was great. His goaltending was excellent. I think when you look at his development path, as you mentioned, the NHL games, he's had a cup of coffee there. He knows what to expect when he gets back, and there's no doubt in my mind and I don't think there's any rush. Everybody's on a different runway, but Carl will be an NHL goaltender.
How about coaching? Ryan Craig, the growth and development you've witnessed.
Yeah, I mean, you never know 100%, but it sure was as expected. He's a great leader. He's got great presence. He's been a captain wherever he's been. It's interesting this year for sure. There was a number of times where I was stopped in a rink and he says, "Well, how about you guys, whether they played for him or coached him or whatever the case may be, however they crossed paths, that I knew he was going to be a coach, or we knew he was going to be a coach, and he's taken great steps. He's a great guy. For me, I think when you basically say what is a coach, Ryan Craig is that.
We hear Ryan say so often, for his players, be where your feet are, and how important that is for players when they're in Henderson. Focus on getting better in Henderson until your next opportunity with the VGK maybe comes along. We talked a little bit about for Kai Uchas, went to the Golden Knights, had a good experience, came back a better player. Maybe it's not surprising when a youngster gets his first chance that he goes up, has some success, you hope, but that he absorbs what's told to him by the coaching staff, comes back and tries to apply it. It's not always automatic that every player in every walk of their career necessarily is going to have that reaction. But it felt like every player that came down from the VGK in whatever circumstance came back the right way. Braden Bowman played over 50 NHL games, came back to the Silver Knights, and what he did, he was Player of the Month in April.
Right.
It felt from maybe a standpoint of organizational cohesion that players, when they're in Henderson, understand what's not only expected of them, but what they can do to better their game while they're here to give themselves that next chance.
Well, I sure hope so. That's what we're trying to do. I mean, we're trying to make sure that the message is consistent, that we're doing a good job of communicating the message, and they understand. I think when guys, like for Kai Uchas is a good example, when he came up and realized, like it was very specific what your game has to be here, he went out and he performed that. And then he came back with that same game, and that's, you're going to be this player in the NHL. You can be the same player in the American Hockey League and just hone your craft. So he is the perfect example of a guy who really came back with that. But even Tanner Lazinski, Tanner had enough success at the NHL level where he said, this is what I am. I can do some things below the goal line. I can do some things below the hash marks. Use my speed. Understanding how important the defensive side of the game is. I mean, no coach at the NHL is going to give you an opportunity unless you can look after your game defensively and you can check. I mean, that's just the way it is. It's just, It's too good. If you give up a chance there, it's going to be a scoring chance, and too often it's going to be in your net. So you have to do a good job there, and then take what you know defensively and still have your, I think your skill set, and make sure you'll be able to show that as well. And our guys did that, and to me had the success there that they brought back.
How rewarding as an organization going to the Stanley Cup final and the part that everybody plays in it, how rewarding is it for you?
Well, very, very rewarding. I mean, Kelly McCrimmon and George McPhee, I mean, the leadership that we have at the top in an organization is incredible, and I think we've got great people. People are allowed to do their jobs. We're very inclusive. People feel good about what they're doing, myself included. So it is special. I mean, you really do feel a part of it, and we're happy to be in the finals again.
You know, Tim, we talked about the importance of winning from a developmental standpoint for the players as individuals. Winning is a cultural thing too. And I wonder what this season, this second half of the season, a playoff series win, raising the decibel level, at least Family Forum in the spring, what that can do from an organizational standpoint as this group moves forward. Because it was a young team this year. Who knows what the summer holds for various players as they try to make an NHL team next year. But there will be a group of this roster that I expect will be back.
Yeah, and I think, I think last year we look in year 24-25, we had a good run the second half. I mean, we showed what it was like to be in the race. This year we were more than in the race. We got ourselves into the mix, and then we took a step from there. And then you talk about the playoffs. I mean, the playoffs is a different level in hockey at all levels. It's different, and for us to even the opportunity to play games in Colorado, that was different than anything we'd seen. You mentioned the atmosphere at Lee's Family Forum. It was fantastic. I mean, those are great experiences that you're not gonna, until you go through them. You haven't gone through them. It's just that simple, and I think that was really important. I mean, we're gonna have. And we said at the start of this season, what we did the season previous, we've got to start that year like we finished the year previous. Now, we had some injuries, we had some reasons why that didn't happen, but we were always, I think, had our eye on the ball, and we were able to say, okay, we're taking steps. This is going to show results. It did, and our expectation is higher next year, and then we've got to meet the bar again.
I don't ask you off-season questions. It feels disrespectful because you're still hard at work. Me, I'm a little more laid back than I was a couple of weeks ago. You're still hard at work. Having said that, though, when all is said and done, does Tim Speltz ever get to relax? Do you have to find a dock or a pool deck somewhere?
I love to golf. I'm a member of a golf club back in Spokane. I love to play. And I've got the guys are always on me. How come you're not out here more? How come you're not out here more? I enjoy what I'm doing too, and I can easily work in my office trying to formulate our team and getting our preparation, our planning done. I enjoy that too, but I love to golf. I've got a granddaughter now, so it's good to spend family time, especially with her. So we've got some lake time. I've got some golf time. Going to do a little bit of travel. I don't need to do a lot in the off season, to be honest. I do enough of that in the regular season, but again, my wife loves to travel, so we'll do a little bit of that, and then we'll be back at it.
Well, when we reconvene in September, we'll set up a putting green. We'll throw a few balls out there. We'll see how you spent your summer. We'll find out.
I need to practice my putting, so that'll be a good thing.
Well, Tim, enjoyed the Stanley Cup final. Good luck to you, and we appreciate your time. Looking forward to another great season next year.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
That's General Manager Tim Speltz. We'll step out. When we come back, we'll wrap it up once more on Horsin Around. One last time, Horsin Around, Brian McCormick and Darren Elliott. Great catching up with Tim Speltz, who again did such a great job with this group this year, and the work never truly stops. No. But he's got to be excited with the building blocks he already has in place when he gets to work again.
What comes through with Speltzy is he loves what he does. He said it, and it comes through. And he's so good with his time. All season long. I can't wait to see what the roster looks like a year from now.
Well, we love what we do too, and it's been a blast doing this show with you guys all season long. Appreciate everyone who joined in. Television broadcasts, radio broadcasts. We've been talking to each other and to ourselves a lot, but it only matters because you guys were listening. And Darren, I'd like to do this again.
Let's. I'll be on the lookout for a better setup, a better studio. What do you think? Or is this fine for you?
This was my brainchild, so we can definitely do better. But it was a ton of fun talking Silver Knights hockey. We will take roughly 4 months off, but when the Silver Knights hit the ice again, we'll be ready to go again as well. Also, big thanks to Nick Aberle, who's behind the cameras, Kelly Fiffner, who is producing, quality control. She's the one, anything we've said that's embarrassing is because we didn't run it by her first. Yeah. So thanks to everyone for making Horsin Around a staple of Silver Knights coverage this season. How are you going to spend the summer months?
Hopefully golfing. Just kind of doing what I usually do. It's like go to the hockey rink, see what's going on, go hit balls, go play golf, stuff like that. How about you?
Oh yeah, I'll just be getting ready for the next season.
Little one, yeah.
All the theme nights, and yes,
baby.
We're working on solid food right now. So with wild success. So by the time we do this show next year, he should be walking.
Oh,
and
talking yet?
How young is too young for skates? I started at 4. That felt late.
Yeah, no, 3, 4 is
3, 4. All
see
right.
what they take, if they take to it.
All right. Well, if we get really, really bored this summer and you see some sort of a surprise episode dropped in August, maybe it's me and Darren just towing a 1-year-old along. We'll see how the summer progresses. But it's been great. We appreciate you being with us and with the Silver Knights this season, and we look forward to seeing you next fall because we'll be here.
Horsin' around.
Horsin' around.
Huzzah!